Thank you for listening to the BjjBrick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to episode 115 of the BjjBrick Podcast. I'm Gary, and as usual, I got Byron here. How are you today, Byron?
Gary, I'm doing great. How are you doing, my friend?
I am awesome. I am ready for another episode. Today we have an awesome one, and we were supposed to have, as we told you, Jennifer Perez on this week, and she was going to talk about traveling and training in different places. But due to a technical error, we will not have her on today. Hopefully we'll get her on next week.
Who do we have, Gary?
This week we have Seth Smith from Up Stream BJJ, just opened his own school. So we're going to have an awesome interview with Seth.
Absolutely. It was nice talking with him, and very smart guy. He's Ryan Hall's first black belt, and we do talk about Ryan Hall and his success in the UFC, and we talk about training and lots of good stuff coming out of him today. We're talking about not having Jennifer on the podcast this week. That's completely my fault. I sent her a message a couple days ago and apologizing. I was getting ready to go edit this episode, which we'd already recorded. I spent over an hour on the phone with Jennifer recording this interview. And I go on my recording device, and I cannot find it. I don't know what happened. I'm confident that I hit record, and in the process of somehow processing it or something like that, it's gone. So I've checked everywhere I can, and I just got a hold of her, and she's so nice, she's willing to do the whole thing again. So I think we'll probably have her next week. Is the plans. I don't usually talk about who's going to come up if we haven't recorded yet, because we had this thing recorded, so things fall through. But we hope to have Jennifer on next week and talk about her traveling and training jiu-jitsu, but not 100%. But I do have an interview scheduled with her this week, so that should be good.
Yeah, well, Byron thinks that it was misplaced or somehow lost. I personally think it was our competitor, BJJ Cinderblock, that hacked in and stole it. So that's my idea.
BJJ Cinderblock. A Cinderblock is a lot bigger than a brick, Gary.
Yeah,
that's kind of intimidating.
They even copied our name. Their logo is exactly the same, except instead of a brick, it's a cinder block, and they even used our faces, which is the crazy part.
Yeah, our faces is one of the things that's slowing us down the most, Gary.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
So we do have a great show today with Seth Smith. We got a great article and a really fun quote of the week. And we try to bring this show to you every week. And one thing that's helping us make that possible is a little audiobook that we have for sale. It's called Your First Year in BJJ. It's available on the website to purchase. It's $11.99. It helps us pay the bills, keep things going, and helps us with internet costs and buying equipment when we need to, and keeps the lights on over here, Gary. So, and it's also a great book if you're in your first year of jiu-jitsu. I'm going to talk to you for about 2.5 hours about what to expect, how to deal with things, and help get you over some hurdles, help with some motivation, things that might come up. And I really hope that this audiobook will help get you through your first year of training. Once you do that, it's not an easy road, it's not smooth sailing, but you're going to stick with it, I really feel. The first year is where it seems like most people end up dropping out. Probably even the first couple months is tough. But if we can help get you through your first year, I'd love to be part of that team there, helping you get through that. And it's available on the website.
Yep, and also, too, don't forget to sign up for our email list. Our email list will let you know when we have a new episode out. That way you'll never forget one. But the other cool part about it, too, is you get sample chapters from Byron's book there, ebook, First Year in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you can try out a chapter, check it out, and then once you like the chapter so much, then order the audiobook. So definitely get on our email list so you'll never miss an episode.
Yep, that's a good way. If you're a little hesitant about dropping the $11.99 on audiobook, check out the free samples there in the Dropbox folder located at the bottom of the email there, and see what you think. So, Gary, I think the quote of the week will be a little different than usual. It's from a scientist.
Ooh, yeah, we don't have that very often. Neil Armstrong?
Yeah. Well, Neil something.
Oh, okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. He wrestled.
Oh, okay.
He wrestled in high school. He wrestled in college, and he loves it. So he said that a wrestling match is just the laws of physics.
And, I believe that wholeheartedly. I always say, my wife being a science teacher, I struggled mightily in science through my career. Science was my hardest subject. And until I picked up jiu-jitsu, stuff like physics never made sense. I just didn't understand it. And really through jiu-jitsu or wrestling, basically the same thing, physics is really, I've started to understand it a lot more. And I tell my wife all the time, I was like, man, when you're teaching a physics class, you should throw in some wrestling or Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I tell you, some of those people who just don't understand it probably would understand it that way. It's going for a takedown. You're blocking a knee. You're using your head to push one way, the same way you got the knee blocked, and just little things just to make a grown man fall. You have to hit the right spot, block the right spot to make it happen.
Yeah, the idea of your center of gravity, where your weight is, and how you can move it, and then leverage is huge. And it's kind of a big deal in physics as well. Leverage. So if I'm going to hold on or move your body, where on your arm can I pull or push to get you to move? That's science. That's physics, and that's just a little example of things. But if you want to break it down and get nerdy about it, endless possibilities to break down jiu-jitsu or wrestling and look at the physics side of things.
Yeah, and just like what you're saying, where to, grab the arm. And, so many times when you first start, like I want to pin your arm down, but I'm really don't understand it. I'm probably grabbing at the elbow and allowing you to move your arm. And as you start getting a little more experienced, you're grabbing down farther on the arm, grabbing the wrist so they can't move the arm at all. Or if you're trying to move the arm out from the body, you're getting underneath the elbow and, pushing from there. And it's just little things I never thought of when I first started the sport. Probably why I use so much energy and gas so quickly.
But not anymore now that you're a physicist, so.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to become a physicist.
All right, well, that quote was from Tyson, or Neil deGrasse Tyson. I put a link to a video where he says that on the show notes, and those will be in your email box if you're on the email list. Or you can go to the website, either way.
Yep. And I think that'll take us to our article of the week. We've got an article from GracieMag.com, and we'll put a link to this article in the show notes. A really good article here, but it's 12 life lessons kids learn fast in jiu-jitsu. And there's a ton of life lessons that we're all going to learn, but we won't go over all 12, but go over some of our favorites. What I like number 8. Children will learn to focus on a problem to solve it. The distracted and relapsing youngsters will be able to concentrate and pay more attention to what is taught. And there is a big problem. You're looking at the problem of how to maneuver this guy to set him up for a submission. And you've really got to concentrate. You're going to be learning, moves that all work together. And you are going to have to concentrate. You're going to have to pay attention, and you'll learn to solve problems. Cool concept that's going to help you in life.
Yeah, I think also on that one, if you ignore a problem, it's not going to go away. I mean, if every time you try to pass someone's guard, you get armbarred, especially as a kid, like you get armbarred 4 times in 4 minutes, your guard passing, there's a problem there. It's going to keep happening unless you address the problem. So same thing if you've got a low grade or you've got some bullies, it's not something that you should ignore. It's something that needs to be addressed and dealt with. So Just ignoring problems isn't usually I guess ignoring a bully is an option, but like that's a reality of your life. Like you got a D, you got an F. Can't ignore it. You can't just you can't just wait till report card day and pass it over to your parents. The better thing to do is to work a little harder and get that grade up.
Or you get home before the mail comes and grab it out of the mail.
Do they still send report cards in the mail?
I think you get them online.
Okay. And, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I know I get report or updates every week, but the actual report card, I think there are online.
You get updates every week. Wow.
Yeah, oh boy, I tell you, you will get bombarded when you have kids, your email box. Right? And each teacher sends you one.
Oh,
so it's
man.
not like you get the whole school. You'll get each teacher, and then multiply that by a couple kids. It's time consuming.
Sounds like it.
Yep.
So this article does focus on kids and learning in Jiu-Jitsu. I like number 2. They learn that making mistakes is actually the best way to succeed, but also that making the same mistake all the time can result in a darn hard time. So making mistakes is okay. You don't want to repeat the same mistake over and over again, but a lot of times we give trophies out for nothing, or you get a medal for showing up. I don't think it really helps kids understand life. But if you make a mistake in life and you deal with the consequences of it, and then you pass that, that's a good life lesson. And making mistakes, little ones, while you're training is how you get better. And that's a great thing about Jiu-Jitsu is that your mistakes are often pointed out to you immediately by your training partner. Same thing with
mistakes.
Same thing with the kid who's going to get armbarred as he passes the guard every time. That mistake is being pointed out to you every time. If you, it's not like you didn't know that was a problem. It's a problem because your partner's helping you out with that. So, that's those mistakes. Making those is how you learn what to work on.
Another one I like is number 12. Kids realize that awards only come with true effort. It can be a belt or a stripe. Or a victory, but really there's no participation medals in this sport. And I know that's a big thing. A lot of places do participation medals. Some people like them, some people don't, but in real life, really the end result is going to determine whether you get a raise, you get a belt, or whatever. And so you're going to see that you can't just show up for 5 classes and get a belt. You're going to have to come in. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to drill. You're going to have to be a good teammate. And through your hard work and through your dedication, you are going to be rewarded. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good lesson learned in Jiu-Jitsu. I like number 11. They will learn to develop mental abilities such as memory to remember the techniques, and this is my favorite part here, coolness to face the big challenges. A kid who does Jiu-Jitsu for a month or maybe 2 months may not get that, but after a while, kids will be able to relax and train Jiu-Jitsu. And even when a new kid comes in and they're bigger and stronger, you'll see a kid deal with that person and relax the whole time. Use technique, use their skill, use their ability, and not even really get that winded. That is being cool under pressure. You got that one kid who's 50 pounds heavier than the other one, and the technique is carrying the kid through the situation and really helping them be cool, be able to handle a big challenge that's right in front of them. And I think that's a good one. I've used that. It's helped me stay relaxed at work. It's helped me focus on the task at hand while something crazy might be happening. That's something that I think Jiu-Jitsu has helped me with. So I could definitely understand it for kids. Like I remember when I was a kid, I'd be nervous about giving a speech, or something in school, like getting up in front of everybody. And really nervous about that compared to Jiu-Jitsu? Nah. Focus on your task at hand. Do your speech or whatever. Let it go by, and stay cool.
Stay cool, my friend.
Well, there is still about 8 more things just like these on their website of the 12 life lessons learned. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes, Gary.
Yep, and so get your son, get your daughter out there on the mat, and let them learn some life lessons and learn themselves some self-defense and great sport.
Absolutely.
I think it is time to get on to our interview with Seth Smith.
He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
He credits most of his wins to maintaining eye contact with his opponent. His gi never smells, even after rolling with the stinky guy. He is often seen riding a unicorn to open mat. When he got his white belt, black belts traveled for hundreds of miles just to roll with him.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BjjBrick Podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm happy to bring Seth Smith to the BjjBrick Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks.
Could you just give us a quick introduction of who you are and where you train at and a little bit about your school there?
Okay. My name's Seth Smith. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I've spent, like the last 6 years working at 50/50 Jiu-Jitsu with Ryan Hall. We kind of started the gym together, and earlier this year I moved back home to my hometown, which has always been kind of a goal of mine ever since I left this place, and came back and opened up my own gym. It's called Up Stream BJJ, and that's primarily where I train now, but I still go up just about every weekend up to Northern Virginia and train at 50/50 as well.
And how did the opening of your own gym go?
It's going pretty good so far. When I opened up my gym, so I started jiu-jitsu back in 2001, and my first instructor was a guy named Dave Womack. And when I moved back to Richmond, it just kind of serendipitously, like, he was closing his gym at the same time I was opening mine. So I was able to get, a few students from his academy right off the bat, so that helped me out a lot. So things are going pretty good. Had a grand opening back in November, and was fortunate to have Justin Rader do a seminar there, and had a whole bunch of people show up. So things are going pretty good.
Cool. Hey, I've been to a Justin Rader seminar. He gives a great seminar, a lot of energy, and a lot of fun. And I think that he helps with the mental side of things as well. When he teaches a technique, he'll explain how important it is and having confidence in that move. So hopefully that was the same that you experienced that as well.
He's very intense when he talks, but it's cool. It definitely keeps everybody engaged.
Yeah, it's hard to be there's nobody like sitting at the side of the corner kind of bored, like not pay attention. Nah, he'll pay attention. Justin Ray's going to teach you something.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's cool. So you're you're still in Richmond, Virginia, right? Is that where your school is? Okay. And tell me a little bit about like kids classes, beginner, advanced. What kind of schedule do you guys have?
Yeah, we got kids classes. We got a beginner and advanced. So I've got basically students from white through brown belt, and we have a kids class 3 times a week right now. We hope to grow it up to be more days during the week, but right now we're just doing it for 3. And we're open Monday through Friday, so we have basics classes every day and advanced classes as well.
Cool. And the name Upstream, I don't know the area. Maybe there's something to that. How'd you come up with that?
So Richmond is, people call it River City. The James River is it flows through the city, and Richmond's kind of built up around that. And River City to me was kind of played out. There's so many things like River City Diner, River City Tattoo, River City this, River City that. So I wanted something, river related, but not River City. So I chose Upstream. Sounded good to me. So
yeah.
Not too deep of a meaning. It just
seems like
it sounded good to me.
It seems like life's always a little bit better if you're upstream of something, you don't want to be downstream of a major city. It better be upstream of a major city. It's cleaner water.
Upstream brings you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Downstream's frownstream. So.
Yeah,
sad time jiu-jitsu.
I'm sure there's a website available. Upstream BJJ.com is where we go find you. It'll probably be a while until somebody takes the name Downstream BJJ.
Yeah,
really,
well, maybe I can have an affiliate.
There you go.
It'll just be like a much sadder school.
I like it. That's funny. Tell me a little bit about your grappling style, kind of like maybe a couple of the techniques you really like to do or positions you like to play.
Been training for a long time, and it kind of changes from time to time what I'm really into. But like I like leg locks a lot. Always have. I've been training leg locks for a long time, so definitely when I'm allowed to do them at no-gi competitions, I really like to do all kinds of heel hooks. And I like reverse de la Hiva a lot. It's a position I've been playing the most over the last couple of years. And I don't know, I just, I like everything. I go through phases where, I'm really into closed guard, really into spider guard or something like that. But definitely, like, leg locks have always been a big part of my jiu-jitsu. And, like I said, reverse de la Hiva seems to be a position I find myself in all the time because basically everybody in the world wants to do a knee cut pass on you, so you end up, just ending up in that position. So spent a lot of time, working on that position, having a lot of different attacks from it.
Why is it that there's like a negative view on some leg locks?
I think it can be from a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's the injury factor, but I mean, I think like the most dangerous submission in jiu-jitsu is the Kimura.
Yes.
Like I've seen more people get injured from Kimuras, from some big strong dude just cranking the hell out of somebody's shoulder than I have from leg locks personally. But I have seen people get hurt from leg locks. So it could be like the danger involved. I think it's just, traditionally, a lot of people just haven't been taught a lot of leg locks, so they're just kind of like afraid of them, and they don't want to, they just kind of want to pretend they don't exist and go to tournaments where you don't really run into them that much. But, that's really bad if you send your students to like a Naga or, ADCC style tournament or Grappler's Quest or any of the tournaments where you're allowed to do heel hooks and then your student gets injured. That's really bad if you're not, educated on them, but they're allowed. But also, I mean, I do understand how, like, if they're taught incorrectly, they can hurt a student's progression because, passing the guard is hard, but, just falling back for a leg lock every single time is, seemingly a lot easier. But if that's what you're always doing from day one, then you're not going to build those skills on how to pass one's guard, and then, you're going to be kind of a one-trick pony, and you're not going to develop in that area. So, I think that, like, the way that they're taught is really important, and you really make sure your students are building those skills of passing as well. And I mean, if you have really strong passing, the leg locks are going to be that much easier to do. Like when you really pressure somebody with strong passing, then people's feet come out. But if you don't, you're just that guy who kind of like hovers on the outside and just trying to fall back. Like I said, you become a one-trick pony, and that person's usually pretty easy to read and beat. So I think I think that's definitely something you need to teach your students. Maybe not like white belts don't need to be doing heel hooks, but, kind of keep a culture in your gym where people know what they are. And as they start getting more developed, like they start training them, I don't think it hurts the student's progression if it's done right. And I also think that like, it's really important to be a complete grappler to understand them. And, even if you're not really that partial on using them to attack, definitely, know how to defend them. Because each leg lock position is going to be different and give you a different set of problems and, require like its own particular escape. And, if you don't know, like you don't have an in-depth understanding of these things, like you go against like Eddie Cummings or Gary Tonin or Ryan Hall or any of these guys, like you're going to get tapped immediately. So
you mentioned a little bit ago that the Kimura seems to be a more dangerous submission, and it's just that maybe the way it's finished, or maybe with the way it breaks free, it causes more injuries, or maybe that the person is encouraged maybe to kind of try to just kind of roll out of things and try to a lot of movement, and then it kind of slams into place. I don't know, but it seems like that's a big one. So how would if somebody's not used to training leg locks and they want to learn this part of their game and they want to be safe about it, what are some precautions or some things they should keep in mind?
Well, I mean, just like any submission, like to me, like if I'm training with somebody who, like Ryan and I have been training leg locks for years, and we've never hurt each other with a leg lock. To me, like paramount to anything is safety. So like I'm not gonna, even if he didn't tap to something, like I'm not gonna crank it hard, like super hard to injure him. Like I would sooner let go of it, even if he were being stubborn, than I would try to finish the heel hook, right? So it's like, if you get to the position, like you can't just like blast into it. You have to like control it, and have like, good enough control of your body not to just like, crank it super hard, and, slowly apply pressure. And like in the beginning, I think like it's really important to just like touch and like kind of hold instead of like actually put enough pressure to finish them. And then like there has to be that agreement between you and your training partner. Like when you're caught, you're caught. And as you get better and better, you can kind of push that further and further where, like, okay, like now you can start actually trying to apply a little bit of pressure, and I'm going to try to escape, and, we'll see where it goes, and just be ready to tap. But like when you guys like are grappling, you're going hard, but then once you like settle into a leg lock position, like I said, it's like, okay, once you're there, you're there. You need to be really careful. And like I said in the beginning, I think it's best for students, just like if they're caught, like if they're two hands on the heel hook, like your hands are locked together and you actually have the heel hook, you stop. And like, even if the guy is being stubborn, you can say like, hey, dude, you're caught, and if the guy wants to be a jerk off about it, then so what? Like, okay, like, you got him. When you go out to a tournament, you can go out and actually finish him. But then like, if, you have a good training partner, like I said, like Ryan and I have been doing it for years, and definitely like, helped my leg lock game a lot. Like having a training partner who would, not like, I knew was going to be safe, and he knew I was going to be safe. So like we could go for him like hard, but then once we got to the position, like none of us were like cranking on it really hard. We just start over. And, that helped both of our games out a lot. So just be safe, take your time, don't hurt each other, and like, just make safety the biggest concern, and I think you'll be okay. And that's like with anything.
Yeah, it seems like that's a good way to do it. Just kind of lock it up and like a heel hook. You get control of the heel, you get your hands together, and they're kind of stuck. No big deal to just hold them there for a little bit and let them know that they're stuck. And hopefully, most people who are fairly new to leg locks will call it good right there. But like you said, with you and Ryan, you have to do more, because leg locks are not just like you apply the leg lock and it's over. They're going to react, and then you're going to have to know how they're going to react, and you're going to deal with that to do your second and your third leg lock attack. And they change it. That's where I think a lot of people have those things. So that's
like, if you do a lot of drilling, you drill the transitions. I mean, a lot of these things you can kind of figure out, like, okay, like how would you turn? What would you do here? And if you guys are thinking, like, you can say, like, okay, well, I'd probably try to turn with the heel can go here, and you can kind of, like, figure out where the next transition, goes to. And then, like I said, once you guys have that trust for each other where, like, like I know, like, Ryan's not going to crank on the heel hook super hard. He can get to a position and, like, I can start to try to escape. And the whole time in my mind, I'm, like, ready, to tap if I need to. But, like, he's going to give me a little bit of leeway on it so that, like, we can figure these things out. Like, he'll put a little bit of pressure on it, and, like, if he's got his body positioned in a way where, like, I'm going to run into a wall and I'm not going to be able to escape, then, like, I'll feel that, and, like, like I said, just, like, have the minimum amount of pressure possible just to let me know, like, okay, you're stuck, and then we can, restart or figure it out, like, what happened. And I think it's really, like, the biggest thing is just training partners. Like, some people are just, spastic, and, like, they won't tap to anything. And, like, they put you to that choice where either I hurt you or I just let it go. And most of the time I'll just let it go. Unless I fear for my safety or something like that. But, if you have a good training partner and you guys, like, can, like, talk it out, and neither of you guys are, like, trying to hurt each other and, controlled, I mean, I think you can take it pretty far.
Do you also have another black belt in, is it combat Sambo?
Kind of. I mean, it's, I was given a black belt in Sambo by my old instructor, and Sambo is a very fractured kind of community, where, you know, like the group that was giving belts in Sambo, like had I started training under Dave Womack, and he was a student under this really awful person named Mark Dinsberger. And I say he's an awful person because later he turned out to be a huge sex offender. But at the time we didn't know that. But yeah, so he came to America, and he had studied in Russia, and he started his own belt system, and, you know, was giving out, like, you know, belts in Sambo. But then there's, you know, a lot of people from Sambo backgrounds who don't recognize any belts at all. Like, you know, you're either red or you're blue, you know, like when you're going out to compete. So, you know, like I was given a belt in Sambo, but I don't really like try to, you know, tout that up too much, because it's like, it's just like whatever. It's like it's something I was given in, you know, my martial arts experience, but I never like trained Sambo exclusively. Like I just did Jiu-Jitsu, but my instructor was like belting us in Sambo and Jiu-Jitsu at first.
How are the leg locks different? Or are your leg locks different because you know a little bit of that, or are you just learning Jiu-Jitsu style leg locks?
I don't know. I think like the leg locks are mostly just stuff that Ryan and I, you know, worked on. Like I was given like a framework pretty early on for like different leg lock positions, like, you know, inside heel hooks, reverse heel hooks. You know, over the years, Ryan and I started playing with 50-50 a whole lot. You know, I don't think there's anything that I've learned that's like unique to Sambo. It's just been, you know, like I was given a framework for different heel hook, you know, positions early, and Ryan and I started like taking those and then building up like new ones and becoming more and more sophisticated with it. And it was more stuff that we developed than stuff we had learned elsewhere. But over the years, like definitely learned a few details here and there from different people on some stuff that's been really helpful. Riley Bodycomb's got really good leg locks. I've learned a lot of cool stuff from him. Murillo Santana, even though, you know, he's known as just a straight jiu-jitsu guy, like he's got really good leg locks as well. Learned some cool details from him. So it's just been kind of, you know, a little bit here and there from everywhere over the years.
If I'm trying to just think about different leg lock things. If reaping the knee was allowed in gi jiu-jitsu, how would that change everything or anything?
Well, I mean, it would definitely get rid of a lot of stupid disqualifications. I think there's an unbelievable amount of, like, you know, potentially good matches that were just ended, you know, prematurely by some nonsensical rule about reaping the knee, where, you know, a lot of times it was, you know, like a competitor, like two guys in a scramble that just ended up there, and then they get DQ'd, and it wasn't even something that was like intentionally done. I think it's just ridiculous. I think they should be allowed to reap the knee. To me, it's like an omoplata on the person's leg. It's, you know, you allow it on the arm, but not the leg. And, you know, maybe if you want to, you know, you're concerned about people's safety, like don't let white and blue belts do it. I think purple and above could do it just fine. You know, if you're caught in a omoplata and you try to do a backflip, you're going to hurt yourself. If someone's, you know, reaping your knee and you turn with it, then you go the way that they're kind of forcing you to turn, you're going to be okay. If you try to like turn back against it really hard, yeah, you can hurt yourself, but that's like kind of the nature of any submission. You know, you're taking a joint in the direction that it doesn't go, and you either go with it or you get hurt. I think they should allow it, but I think, like, if you were to allow heel hooks in the gi, that would be huge. That would be a huge change in jiu-jitsu. I think you'd see people going for that kind of stuff so much more, because it would be so hard to get out, especially with the gi, like having the ability to, like, you know, hold on to people's pants and, you know, all that friction that causes. It would be pretty hard to escape a lot of these leg locks. You just see a lot more. I don't know if you would see that many more injuries. I mean, I think you would. I think you would see more injuries. But, you know, that's kind of on people just being stubborn and not tapping. But that's just kind of what happens. A lot of people just don't want to tap, and they end up getting hurt. They don't respect them until they're popped. But, you know, maybe it would force people to be more educated about it as well. And then, you know, they would, you know, be more ready to tap, I guess.
Do you think, in the gi, a heel hook is more dangerous than a kimura in a gi? or about the same, or where would they fall, you think?
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends. You know, you have at first maybe heel hooks would cause more injuries statistically because maybe people wouldn't be, you know, people who like grappled in pure BJJF tournaments for a long period of time, like aren't so educated. Like they can train in a way where they're insulated from having to learn them.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you started allowing that maybe those people would start getting popped. But if people, you know, put the time into learning them, then I think, you know, it'd probably be maybe still on the side of the Kimura. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the Kimura is like the worst one. I think it's just the angle of your arm and like all those tiny little ligaments in your shoulder. It's really easy to get torn, you know?
I'm going to ask basically the same question about how dangerous it is. But I think I'll try to come at it at a different angle because I think it'd be neat to hear the answer to this. If you're in a tournament with a gi and I come up to you and I'm from the future, so hypothetical stuff going on here, and I said, you're going to get heel hooked. You're going to lose and it's going to be by a heel hook. Okay. How concerned are you of your own safety versus if I come up to you and I say, you're going to get Kimura this round. There's nothing you can do about it. This guy's going to Kimura you. Which one will make you think like, you know what I mean? Because you understand the limits of your own leg and that sort of thing and when you should tap because you're educated on it. Which one are you more nervous about getting injured from?
I honestly don't feel like I'm, you know, really like I would see much of a difference as far as the submissions themselves.
Okay. It's
more about like who is the person. Like,
Paul Harris.
Okay, like you know, like yeah, like if you got like a real jacked up like strong person, you know, either one could be devastating. Like you know, like if you have a person like what is this, the open division, or are you just like a dude who's like super jacked and like explosive? You know, like. Because you know, if you're actually in the position to finish me with a Kimura, then you have the potential to do a lot of damage. You know, that's really on like, you know, you Kimuring me, like how like far you're willing to crank it. Because you like look at some of those matches that DJ Jackson had, he would Kimura the crap out of people, and you know, like I don't know how many shoulders he ripped, but I'm sure he's done a lot. I mean, that guy's like, you know, finished a lot of Kimuras like really viciously. You know, but then, you know, you look at heel hooks too, and you see a lot of people getting hurt there. And to me, like, it's most of the time, like, people are just like, they just don't tap in time. And that's just them being stupid. Like, they think they can get out and they can't. For me personally, like, I'd be ready to tap on either of them. You know? So, like, if you catch me, I'll just tap. But, you know, like, it really depends on you doing it to me. Like, are you going to, like, explode into it, or are you going to, like, you know, like, you're going to be cool? I don't know.
Okay, the interesting answer. I just figured I'd throw that out there. I think it's important to keep in mind that it's not just a sport; it's a martial art, and the respect of your opponent is important. So, like you're saying, a lot of it's on your opponent to not injure you as they finish off a technique.
Yeah, for sure.
To have that kind of that code.
I think it's really like screwed up when people are like cranking things beyond when someone taps. I mean, it's like, what more can you do at that point than like signal surrender? It's something you obviously don't want to do, but you're being forced to. And then if someone's like cranking something after that, that's just like, you know, like you can't do anymore. You need me to scream out loud for you to let go. Like, I just think that's the worst. Like, it's, you know, I'll go for heel hooks and I'll try to finish people for sure. And I'll, you know, within the rules, I'll make it, you know, a fight. But the point someone gives up, I mean, it's over. You know, You can't be a dick.
Yeah, it's on par with, I mean, it's just like that sick feeling in your stomach as you watch somebody crank on a submission as the opponent taps. It's like the same thing as if somebody gets knocked out and they go over there and hit him in the head a couple more times. It's like, what are you doing? I mean, should you be competing in this sport? You know, clearly the person is unconscious, and you're taking it upon yourself to deliver more damage to.
It's
your
like,
opponent.
what are they going to do? Like, what more can they do to surrender? They're just out, you know, like a zombie, and you're just still hammering their head.
Yeah, that's when it. Yeah, that gives you that sick feeling in your stomach. Could you tell me a little bit about the ideas of maybe training effectively versus just like training hard, and what maybe the differences are, and maybe some things that you pride yourself in at your school about doing?
Well, I think like when it comes, I think you need to train hard, but like, you know, that's part of like, you need to train hard, but you need to train smart. I think like to be successful in jiu-jitsu, you need to, you know, be well conditioned physically. You need to be mentally tough, and you need to be technical. And it's like there's a lot of people who are like, you know, very strong and very mentally tough, but they're just not technical, and they're going to go but so far. Like in the early, you know, stages, they may like beat a lot of white and blue belts, and then towards purple and brown, they're going to fizzle out. You know, there's a lot of people who are super technical, but they're just not tough at all. And then like when they fight someone else who's technical and they go into deep waters, they end up, you know, giving up. So, you know, those three things I think are like the biggest things to try to harness and cultivate in your academy. You know, you don't want your guys all giving up early, you know, or quitting or taking too many rounds out or anything like that. In my school, like, you know, when the class starts, if there's like an assigned, you know, activity, like, okay, like we're going to do like 5-minute rounds with 1-minute break, like, you know, me having a new academy, I've had to, you know, kind of tell some of the guys sometimes, you know, like when I started, you know, I was like, okay, we're doing 5-minute rounds, 1-minute break. And then the guys would do like 2 rounds and then like start kind of like talking to one another. And, you know, it's something I've had to build and be like, you know, like guys, like, you know, the activity is going to go until I say it's over. You know, when class is over and we bow out, that's when the class is over. You know, it's not like you get to just take a round out because you have to push yourself. You know, if you know, you guys are training, like you have to push yourself to, you know, even when you don't feel like doing a round, you still got to do it. And I think like in the basics programs, beginners, you know, like guys are getting new to jiu-jitsu, like that's okay. Like, you know, like people are going to like, you know, want to do as much as they can, but sometimes, you know, they're out of shape coming in there and that's fine. You know, you want to push them up to a point, but then you don't want to like have people dying, you know, in your room. But in the advanced classes, you know, and you know, classes that are more like towards competition, like, you know, those guys have to push themselves and they have to, you know, go beyond where they think they can go. And so you want to cultivate that. But you also don't want a bunch of meatheads. You know, it's really important to like have that, you know, like kind of cerebral aspect to your training where, you know, you're forcing your guys to think about what they're doing. And I think like it's really important to keep questioning your students. So like, you know, you ask them like, why are you doing this? Why, you know, why did you go here to there? And like make them think about it and not like, you know, they can't just give you that childish answer like, oh no, I just did it. You know, it's like you have to think about it. Like why did that make sense or why is that wrong or something like that? So I think it's good to like jog, you know, to make people exercise their brain when they're training. And just, you know, overall like building the culture of like having everybody work together and, you know, the higher belts helping the lower belts out and, you know, not just using them as total punching bags. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to it. I'm, you know, as I'm opening up this academy and starting this out all by myself, you know, it's really forcing me to think about how I teach a lot. And you know, I've been teaching for a long time, but this is like a new group of guys and, you know, kind of coming from a different academy. So that's been something I've been working with a lot is like, trying to, you know, like make this as effective as I can. So,
yeah, I know you mentioned it at the beginning, but when did you open up your school?
I opened up back in October.
Okay, so yeah, fairly new.
Well, actually, it was like in a temporary location in September, but yeah, like where I'm at now.
Okay,
I opened up in October of this year.
Have there been any like unforeseen challenges or difficulties you've had with that you had to, as you're working through, had to work through?
Well, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, being a business owner now is, you know, a whole new thing. And, you know, like, had all kinds of, like, you know, all kinds of things happen. Like, this guy who lives in the apartment above my academy, he passed out with his bathtub running and flooded his whole entire apartment. And then that all came through the floor into my academy. So I came in to teach one day and then there's just water absolutely everywhere. And the, you know, ceiling was falling apart. It was just a total mess. And, you know, it's like problems with the building, you know, all this paperwork that you have to do, you know, staying on top of it. I mean, it's a lot, you know, it's a lot to do.
I know it's all topic, but I'm interested in the guy who passed out. Was he he's in the bathtub and he passed out with the water on?
Shoot, I don't know. Like I came in and it's kind of a funny story. So I came in, one morning to teach the day class, and there's just water everywhere. So I had to cancel my class. So I immediately called the landlord, and they start sending people over, and like they own like the apartments upstairs and my space too. And so they're sending their guys all through the building trying to find out where this water leak is. And this guy, like, he doesn't want the people to come into his house because there's just no way he can hide, like, what happened.
Oh, man.
So they're like going, like knocking on his door and trying to come into his apartment. And he's like trying to stall them out as best he can. And finally he has to let him in. And like, they're like, why is it wet everywhere? And he's like, well, I just took a shower and he's bone dry. And, there's just water, like the bottom 4 inches of his couch are just like soaked and like water absolutely everywhere. And then finally he just like, and he's like, yeah, I passed out. The tub was running. And it's like, all right, so what are you doing? Like, are you a heroin addict or something? I don't know. So,
wow. Yeah,
I don't know what's up with that guy, but I see him all the time because he always comes downstairs to walk his dog, and I see him walk by, and every time it's like, you son of a bitch.
Did it damage your mats and things like that, or was it pretty easy to clean up?
No, the mats were fine. I mean, they're kind of built to deal with people sweating on them and stuff like that, so I just kind of took them all off the floor, put them on their side, and brought a bunch of fans in and cleaned them up. They're fine.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you couldn't have predicted that could have happened. There's always, you just got to be adaptable, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like being a business owner, I guess. It's just, the way it is. You're going to have things like that happen, and you just got to deal with them as they come. We've had a bunch of them when we were 50-50 over the years with, just different stuff like that. So, do
you have any idea how many students? You have any idea how many students you're going to need to be in this building comfortably and have like a successful school?
I think that like once I hit 50 students, I'll be pretty happy. So right now I'm like about like 12. So making ends meet, but could use a little more money for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have all the confidence in the world on you or with you, and I think your school will grow as the word gets out. So that'll be great.
Yeah, like I said, it's been growing, and it's cool, like, being back in my hometown, because this is where I grew up, and I've had a lot of friends, like, recently, people that I was friends with in high school hitting me up and wanting to try jiu-jitsu out, and back when I first started in 2001, like, it was like this thing that, like, I was doing, and nobody else knew really what it was, but they just thought it sounded weird, and, like, YouTube didn't even exist back then, so it's like there wasn't too much of an opportunity to see these things. And like the UFC had like 3 events a year, but now it's become so mainstream, and people are saying, like, I have a lot of friends who don't even do jiu-jitsu. They're like, oh, I saw your friend Ryan Hall, the Ultimate Fighter. It's amazing. And I'm like, that's awesome. I think it's cool that it's become, such a big thing. But now they're hitting me up and they want to try it out. So that's really cool. It's something that makes me happy to be able to like share with them, even though, it took 15 years. But, they're interested in doing it, so whatever.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Ryan Hall's performance in I guess both the house and on the last show there?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really cool. I mean, it's like I've trained with Ryan, so much over the years, and you're seeing him do these things that like, I've seen him do like in the room or at, other MMA fights before the UFC, like, and seeing him do it on the big stage and be successful, it's, makes me really happy for him. But I thought he did great, like, it's definitely like a wild card for a lot of those guys. A lot of people like, a lot of those like guys who are like good at jiu-jitsu, like decent at jiu-jitsu that transition to MMA, and, they're just lacking in certain particular skills. Like their wrestling's not that great, but they're really good on the ground, but they can't force the fight to the ground. And, like when it comes to leg locks, they're not that versed in them or something like that. And like Ryan just had a game that I don't think like, a lot of people thought like, oh, he's just a jiu-jitsu guy. You can hold him on the ground, beat him up or whatever, or force the fight on the feet. But, Ryan's jiu-jitsu is different for sure. And his ability to transition into those leg lock positions from like absolutely anywhere is amazing. And watching that on the show, I just thought it was super, super entertaining. So
yeah, it kind of I hadn't planned on watching The Ultimate Fighter. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But like once I saw Ryan was on there, I was like, I'm watching this. I'm setting my DVR, and I'm gonna not miss anything that Ryan's doing. And so that definitely made the show more interesting for me. And his first couple wins, they were real fast, and the guys were just, I just got caught in the leg lock. You're like, oh, like no. That's frustrating to hear people just kind of pass it off as just something that just happened. Like, you really
didn't. You're going to see a lot more people just get caught in the leg lock the more Ryan fights, because it's like you watch that fight with him and Artem. I mean, that was like Artem didn't even get to fight.
Yeah,
it's not that Artem can't fight; it's just he can only fight like in one place, and Ryan just kept the entire fight out of that standing position. He kept him at range with the kicks, and then when he closed the distance, I mean, all he had to do was just tangle him up, and he would find his way. Like, Ryan can transition between, like, leg locks and guard passing and getting on your back, like, so well that, like, once he connected to the guy, he was just able to, like, find his way to dominant position, every time. And, like, when he would enter those leg locks, if Artem wanted to get out of them, he had to sit his butt down on the ground, and then Ryan would just use it as a sweep and get up and pass his guard and get on his back. And, like, it's just Artem never really got to fight. Like, he never got to be, like, stand up and brawl at all. Like, it was just the whole fight. He just looked confused. So,
yeah,
I thought that was awesome. It was just like, that's like what jiu-jitsu should be, is like, just stay in dominant position the entire time. The other guy doesn't get a chance.
Yeah, I think it was a great display of what a different style and some creativity could bring to this world of mixed martial arts. And I think Ryan said something after the fight, like, he could knock my teeth out, and I'm fully aware of this. And that Ryan played with a very dangerous opponent, and was able to take that guy completely out of his game for the whole entire time, and not really have it wasn't like an easy fight, but he didn't have much trouble. Like you said, like, at no point in time was Ryan in a lot of trouble. And just the way I think that traditional martial artists defend a takedown isn't effective against the way Ryan is getting the fight to the ground. So it's just unusual for them, I think.
Well, it's like when when you're fighting a takedown, like, the only thing you have to worry about is the takedown. Like, you get put on your back, so you're not going to let that happen. But what Ryan brings to the table is he gets in on your legs, and then there's an immediate threat of, like, the fight being ended with a submission. So it's a lot more, I feel like a more powerful instrument to make the person do what you want, because it's like, either they're going to move in a way to get away from the leg lock, which you can, predict, and then, like, kind of transition with and either sweep the guy or pass their guard off of it, or, they're going to get submitted right there. So, yeah, it was, like I said, definitely, like, a problem that these people weren't really ready for. So,
yeah. And
I think it's cool. It's like you said, like, jiu-jitsu has a lot of, like, jiu-jitsu's expression in MMA is always evolving. I thought, like, Damian Maia's fight over the weekend was incredible too.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's not surprising. Ryan seems like he's always willing to share his jiu-jitsu knowledge with whoever wants to benefit from it. And so, was it like a week or two before the fight he was over there teaching the guys at the Straight Blast gym, his style of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, he went over to Ireland, to Dublin, and he was training with Conor McGregor and Artem. And I know that Ryan didn't know. I mean, of course, he didn't know that he was going to be fighting Artem. I have no idea if Conor McGregor knew, but definitely, that was, like, kind of screwed up that ended up being the case. But whatever, it just didn't even matter.
Yeah, I think it's just part of it. Shows on Ryan that he's willing to show jiu-jitsu to people who he might, be. He obviously didn't think he was going to be fighting him, but, like, this guy's not coming to his gym and learn it from him. He's going to go show. It sounds like they invited him out there, and he's sharing his jiu-jitsu, and so I just think that says a lot about him and willingness to do that. And it might speak to Artem as far as Ryan not be able to finish him because more to Ryan, like showed him legitimate ways out of things and really taught him the details of what his game is about. And that, it didn't help himself at all in that, but he wasn't teaching half of what he knows or holding back, really. It sounds like he was just teaching him what he likes and what he's wanting to learn about.
Ryan always has a hard time holding back. Like, Ryan will be like, well, this is like a secret. I don't want too many people to know this. And then, like, he'll end up, like, helping somebody out, and he just ends up, like, spilling the beans. I think he just really likes to help people. And when he knows that he can, he has a hard time holding it back. But over the years, we've been training and, come up with something real cool and sneaky. I'm like, all right, we're not going to show anybody this. And then Ryan just, he just ends up helping people, So I think it's like, if you ever get a chance to have Ryan for a seminar or train with him and, you ask him questions, like, he really will try to help you. It's not going to give, like, some kind of, like, glossed over answer. He's been to a lot of seminars, and I've been to a lot of seminars where we've asked questions to people, and you kind of feel like you didn't really get a real answer, like they know a lot more than they're telling you, and that's something that kind of sucks. So I try to do the same thing. If I go teach a seminar, I try my best just to tell people everything that I can. I think it's the way it should be, and I think like a lot of people still do that too. But there are some people out there, like I've never been to the Hickson Gracie seminar, but I've heard that he kind of does that a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's more forthcoming. But I've heard from people that like they'll ask him questions and he'll give them kind of like simple answers, but I don't know. So
yeah, I don't know either. Maybe the answers are simple, and maybe he's kind of hanging on to things. I don't know about that either myself. But it's good that you and Ryan are willing to share what you guys have and help grow and help. The person right in front of you who's asking you, like, that's odd that person wouldn't get the most help that you would ask, that they would be asking of. So it's great that you guys are that type of instructors. So, what kind of if a guest wants to come in and visit your school, is there like how do you handle that? Can it be from anybody from any school, or kind of open door policy, or what do you have?
Yeah, so I don't care. Anyone from any school can come to my academy and train. I have a $15 drop-in fee, and it's like a day pass. I try to keep everything real cheap. So it's like $15, and you can train, for the whole day. Day classes, night classes, as many as you want. Another thing I do is I have a thing called Marathon Roll on Fridays, where it's just 10 5-minute rounds with a 1-minute break in between the rounds. And I open that up to everybody. So anybody from any school wants to come in and do the marathon roll, they can do that. And, that's just good for me because it gives me more people to train with. So
that's cool. Fun. It's not like I typically would think of like an open mat, but you have, it's 10-minute rounds and then you have a minute break in between.
Yeah, and so the rule for it is just, once you sign up for the marathon, you have to do it. So, you don't get to take a round out. Like, if you sign up for it, I say sign up for it, I mean you show up for class, then you have to do all 10 rounds. So, unless there's an odd number, and then you'll maybe be out for a round.
Yeah.
But I don't want, like, when that's the case, I don't want one person to be out more than once, if possible.
Yeah. So, barring any sort of injury or anything bad that happens to somebody, nobody's quitting because they're tired.
Yeah, then of course, they can take a round out or whatever. But you're just tired, you got to push.
Yeah.
But that's fun. Like, we have a lot of fun with that. We've been doing that for years at 50/50, and it's just a tradition that I took over and brought to my school. I like doing that a lot. It's a fun thing to do on Fridays because people usually don't want to stay too late to train on Fridays, so we just kind of come in, get a bunch of rolls in, and then get out. So
I like it. That sounds like a lot of fun. We talked quite a bit about leg locks. I want to just ask another quick question about the 50/50 position. It seems like when I'm there, I'm like 175 pounds or so, and I get like a larger person. It seems like our strength differences and size differences are kind of neutralized. Like I don't have a big strength advantage, and neither does the other person. And it seems like it's just, why is that? Or am I not feeling the things correctly? And there could be if I'm larger than somebody, I could use that to my advantage or something like that. But is there With that position, is there something up with that, with the size differences not really being a big factor?
I mean, the biggest factor in the position is knowledge.
Yeah.
Because, it is 50-50. And then if you're bigger than me, like if everything's equal as far as knowledge, but then you're bigger than me, you're still going to give me trouble with your size. But if I know more about the position than you and you're bigger than me, well then, my skill in the position might neutralize your size. So I think, like I said, it's about, just having a more in-depth understanding of the position than your opponent. But it is a position where, it's very hard to pass. If you want to pass my guard in 50-50 and I just don't want you to pass and I just want to hold on, I can do that pretty easily. I feel like if I'm in a match and, let's say you got 2 minutes left and I'm up on points and I'm on the bottom in 50-50, I'm going to win. Because I'm not saying that, I want to stall, but if I chose to do that, good luck passing that position. Not saying it's impossible, but it's if I just want to hold on, it's really hard to pass. It's kind of a hard position to disentangle yourself from if you don't know what you're doing. If you have certain guys who just want to keep you in that position once you're in it, and fight really hard to just keep your foot stuck in. It can be really difficult, and in the gi even worse because they can start wrapping your lapels around your legs and stuff like that. Doing kind of Keenan Cornelius type stuff inside of the position. So. I think it's no matter what, at the end of the day, it is a 50-50 position. If you guys have the same skill level and the guy's bigger and stronger than you, then he is going to be able to use that against you.
If I'm in 50-50 and I want to get up and pass, what's one of the main things that I'm going to have to do in order to make that really possible?
Well, there's a few different angles to pass. Kind of hard to explain, but one of the most simple ones is just let's say my right leg and your right leg are caught in 50-50. So my right leg would be on the right side of your chest.
Yep.
So if I can just get my right leg across your body to the left side of your chest and then get up heavy over that leg on top, then I'm going to be kind of in a leg drag position, except for my legs kind of woven through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I prefer to do it. I'm sure there's a lot of other ways, but I try to get that foot on the other side of their body and then start getting up.
Right. So that's the most basic. I think that's the beginner one. And then, you start getting better, you start to, there's a lot of ways to kind of weave in your, so the same situation, if my right leg's caught up with your right leg, my left leg, if I kind of inverted underneath and then wove my left leg through from behind, in between your legs and kind of use that to pry out my right leg.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's all kinds of ways that you can kind of berimbolo and invert and kind of weave that outside leg through to get your leg out and kind of end up in leg drag type situations. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do from there.
Yeah. As we're doing this, and you said this might be hard to explain, I understand what you're saying in my head. I play a bit of 50-50, and I've gone through your Ryan Hall's DVDs and did that with some friends and kind of had a better understanding of the position. But people are confused by 50-50 when they see it. So when they hear it, it's how confusing is that to listen to as far as if you don't understand the position and what's going on. But both those make sense in my head. I hope that the listeners are also getting kind of what you're saying on those, and I think they most will.
Yeah. Well, for more information, buy the Ryan Hall DVD.
Yeah, right.
World Martial Arts.
There you go. That's great DVDs. Are you guys have any plans to make new DVDs, or is that something that you thought about doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Ryan's got any ones coming up on the horizon, but I was thinking about starting one, not a DVD, but starting a web page where I'm going to just start posting videos of instruction for free.
Yeah.
And then if people feel that helped them at all, they can donate whatever they want. I think in today's world of media, you can put out a DVD and charge $100 for it, and then everybody's just going to download it illegally anyway. So way I see it is like, okay, I'll just put it out for free, and like if you feel like it helps you, you can donate $1 or $5 or whatever you want, and hopefully people will be on the honor system.
Yeah.
If not, whatever. I mean, it's like, that's the way it would have gone anyway.
Yeah, it seems like you have the desire to share some of your jiu-jitsu, and that's nice, and hopefully you get rewarded for that financially. But even if people don't do send a donation, they're seeing how good of an instructor you are, and I think you get more seminars that you could do, and
yeah,
benefit that way.
It's kind of like the way like rock and roll went. I mean, it's like people used to sell all these records, and then now that all the music's illegally downloaded, they have to like kind of get up and make their money off of touring. And it's kind of like the same idea. It's like, okay, I'll put that information out there, and then if people like it and they want people, they want more like detailed instruction from her, they want someone to like come there and correct them and give them, answer their questions or whatever, then I'll go and teach a seminar. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the way to go, at least for now. So hopefully I'll get that up soon. I have a lot of things I want to show. I think the first thing I'm going to do is like a reverse De La Riva, like just everything I know from that position, just kind of do like a seminar online. And then, like I said, people, can pay like $5. I mean, think about that. It's like $5 for like something that really helps your jiu-jitsu. Like that's really not too much to ask. But like, you could charge $100 for the DVD, and people just illegally download it and get nothing. So
yeah,
I'm happy. Like if enough people come on and they donate, like $5, $10, that's fine.
Yeah, I hope that another alternative would be like an app where people would. That seems to be another common thing is to. I don't know how to make an app, but
yeah,
but
I don't know how to make an app either. This is as much as I can do on my own.
Yeah. But it sounds like it'd be helpful for people to see some instructions from you there online. Now you have this school. It seems like your priorities might change. The school is going to be a big focus, taking care of your students. Are you anticipating being able to compete like you used to? Or are you anticipating traveling and teaching seminars? Or how's the school affect what you typically
Well, yeah,
have
I'd love to go out. Like I had a blast. I went and spent a month in Europe teaching seminars and had a blast doing it. I'd love to do it again, but right now I can't really justify taking a month off from my academy. So that's definitely limiting. But hopefully down the road, a few years later, if I've got the school kind of running itself, maybe I can step away for a little bit and let my students take over for a little while. It's definitely not something I can do now. As far as competition, I still want to compete. I'm 35 now, I'm getting older, and I don't want to miss these years, these last years of competition. But at the same time, it's not the same right now as it was being a 50-50. I love my students that I have now, and they've definitely, they're willing to go hard and push. But, it's just being a smaller school, you have less bodies in the room, than I did when I was at 50-50 and having Ryan there all the time. I mean, having Ryan being able to kick my butt left and right, every day was definitely super helpful. But it is what it is. Am I going to spend a lot of money to travel to big tournaments right now? Probably not, mostly because I just don't have the money. But going to local tournaments and still getting in there and doing it, I'm going to still do that. It's still fun to me. So
cool. And I'm sure you'll figure out a way to train with your students in a way that's beneficial to both of you, whether more positional sparring and putting yourself into bad spots and really teaching them.
Absolutely. Shark tanking it too. And just once I start getting tired, then they can start getting on me. So lots of ways to make it work.
What advice would you have for a student who's trying to maybe thinking about competing and they're trying to figure out a game plan? How do you identify your best techniques and make those a little bit better?
Well, I think you're going to, in the room, you're going to start, having success in a certain position. And I think it's really important to, in the beginning, no one's going to be able to be, completely well-rounded and super versatile everywhere. That's something that comes every time. But, around, white or blue belt, you're going to start finding positions that kind of resonate with you and just to, really build those up and try to make them really dangerous. And, I think it's a good exercise on paper just to, like, people talk about a game plan. It's like, well, what is that? It's like, okay, it's like, you know where your best positions are and you want to try to funnel the game into that. But you also want to, like, take the time, like, and do this exercise on paper where, like, you take, like, each position and you think about, like, what you're going to do from there. And it doesn't have to be, like, especially in the beginning, like, all these, like, crazy positions. But, like, okay, like, you're on half guard, you're on top. You're on half guard, you're on the bottom. You're on half guard on the bottom and the guy's, like, smashing you. Like, what's your escape? If you're on turtle, on top, like, what is your go-to attack to get the guy out of turtle and get their back? If guy's got turtle, control on top of you, what is your escape? And, like, you may put it on paper and come to a point where you're like, I don't have an answer here. And then that's really good because you can take that to your instructor and say, like, hey, like, trying to think about how to escape turtle. I don't know how to do it. Can you show me? And then, like, your instructor can give you that, and then you can drill it and work on it. But I think it's, like, taking ownership of your jiu-jitsu is really important. And, like, when you're coming to class, like, take notes, write stuff down on paper, pay attention to your roles. Like, how did the sparring go when you went to class? Like, is everybody, like, beating you in a certain position, or, like, like, what's actually happening? And, paying attention to that and, like, having questions for your instructor and trying to work through these problems that you run into. When I first started doing jiu-jitsu, like, I didn't really know how to get good fast. Like, I would just show up to class and we'd spar and then I'd go home. And, I would think about it a lot, but I would, like, just kind of, like, not really take detailed notes or, just kind of, like, go to class and then go home. And I did that for years. And, over time, like, I started paying a lot more attention to my jiu-jitsu and kind of taking an ownership of it and, like, running into problems and trying to, fix them. And that definitely helped me. And, I think I could have learned, like, what I know in a lot less time if I had a better approach from day one. So I think it's just important for students not to just kind of, like, rely on the instructor to give them everything. Like, they need to come in and, like, take notes, like, for all the details they can remember in class, like, about a technique, and then, like, come in, like, on their own and drill and just drill those, like, those techniques and those details out over and over again so they don't have to think about them and, just take, like I said, take ownership of their own jiu-jitsu. I mean, when you go to, like, a college class, you take notes, you pay attention, you take the information they give you, and it's on you to internalize it so that you can pass the test. And I think that's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's not just, like, showing up to, like, play basketball on a court for, a little bit with your buds and then go home. It's like, it is academic, and all the stuff that you're learning is cumulative. So, like, you need to, like, be able to, like, go back and, like, if someone taught you a technique, like, 6 months ago, you should be able to go back to your notes and be like, okay, well, here are, like, the 6 main details that I remember, and, can go back and fix it.
Yeah, and I really like how you mentioned, like, take a little bit of note about how your roles went, and maybe you'll find a pattern you didn't even, you wouldn't have caught otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, the more of a nerd you can be about it, I think the better, the better you're going to be.
The quicker you can get that way.
I think one thing that's, like, students should do, and this is, like, something I didn't do very well, but I think that, like, when you go to tournaments, like, write down, like, everything that happened in the tournament. Not, like, like every transition or anything that happened, but, like, like, I had 6 matches, I won this many, I lost this many on this date at this location, and, like, keep, like, a detailed archive of all your tournament experience. I think that's a cool thing to have down the line. I wish I had done that better. So. Yeah,
that would be a neat way, and it could help you as a learning tool. You could look back and say, hey, all 4 times I got submitted, they were all chokes, and 3 of them were guillotines, and that's okay. That's somebody's finding something wrong in my game.
Yeah,
or it could just be kind of a cool journal that you have, and you can go back and reflect on a little bit of your personal history.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as a new
15 years down the line from competing for years, like, there's a lot of tournaments that, like, I forget happened or what.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just wish I had taken a better log of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. As a new school owner, you're going to see a lot of people come in and check out the gym and try out jiu-jitsu. What would be some personality traits or some traits that somebody would have that you would think that you would that they would do well in jiu-jitsu?
Well, I mean, anybody can do well, but, you know, it's really just the guys who don't try to make too much of a name for themselves right away. You know, like they just kind of keep their head down, shut up, and just come to class regularly and just, you know, just like definitely have seen success from people who have gotten good at one thing in their life first and then know how to, like, take that process of learning to something else. Like, I've seen people who, like, are really good musicians do well in jiu-jitsu. And, you know, it's like, okay, like, let's say you learn, like, a couple of chords on a guitar. You know, like, you have to, like, train your body to get your hand in the position for that chord and then, you know, like, do it a whole bunch, and then it becomes kind of natural to you. And then you learn another chord, and then you learn how to, like, connect those two chords together and go from one to the other in different ways. I think that process could be applied to jiu-jitsu. You know, like, you have a position here and you have a position here, and you have to, you know, like, get familiar with how it feels to be in each one of those positions and then learn how to connect them and, like, kind of build your game up. That's just something I've seen over the years. But I think the biggest things, I guess, like personality traits, it's just like keep an open mind, just, you know, understand that jiu-jitsu takes time. Don't get too frustrated with it. Just, you know, like, if you're having a hard time, like, just ask questions and just keep coming. And, you know, like, there's always that hump for beginner students that they run into where, you know, like, at first, like, you just don't know what anything is. Nothing makes sense. And over time, like, you know, it all starts kind of clicking together, and then eventually it starts slowing. And, you know, their learning curve goes up, and they start learning a lot faster. But it's sometimes hard in the beginning to see that, you know, and people get frustrated and sometimes want to quit early. And also, like, just, like, not being, like, a crazy person. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, guys come in and, like, they just, you know, they just want to go freaking nuts, and they're all super tense, and, like, you know, it just looks like they're, like, a scared animal all the time. And it's like, you know, those guys, like, burn out pretty quick too. It's like, you just need to chill out, and, you know, like, just, like, do what your instructor shows you. Like, whatever your instructor told you to do, just do that. Like, don't try to, like, do your own version of it, or, you know, like, you know, try to, like, modify it or do halfway of the technique. Like, you know, like, if your instructor is telling you to stand up in the guard, and every time you go to stand up, you keep getting knocked over, keep doing it, you know, because eventually you'll learn how to stand up in the guard without getting knocked over. But at first, like, you're gonna get negative feedback. You're gonna do it wrong because you're new to it. But then, like, there's a lot of those people who, you know, they'll try to stand up in the guard, but they get knocked over once or twice, and they're like, okay, I'm done with that. And then that guy is, like, trying to jam his forearms into your thighs, and you're just like, you know, you're never going to go anywhere. But it's like you're only worried about that immediate gratification, like, you know, I need to win in the moment. And if you're, like, looking at it more like, you know, I need to learn the jiu-jitsu that's being taught here, and I need to find a way to, like, make what's being taught mine, then, like, you're going to grow. You're going to get better. So, you know, it comes down to, like, the thing everybody says, like, don't worry so much about winning and losing. Like, you have to, like, I mean, it is about winning and losing, but what are you winning at? Like, it's not about beating the person in front of you. It's about learning the jiu-jitsu that's being taught and then being able to, like, you know, apply it. And if you're not, like, applying, you know, like, I've seen it with students before where we'll work a position one day, and, like, we'll go over, like, this one particular position, you know, for the whole class, and then when it comes to sparring, we do positional sparring, and we start at that position, and the person doesn't even try it. You know, they just, like, they're scared to try it, and they just go to something else. And you're like, okay, like, you're not going to get better very fast because you're not even willing to try what's being handed to you. You know, you're just going to, like, worry so much about winning or losing in the moment that you're just going to, like, you know, do your version of whatever. And, like, that's not a good way to be. I think that's really important to, you know, like, try new things. Like, whatever the instructor's showing you, maybe it's, you know, kind of foreign to you, but you need to try it. And you need to just, like, you know, that's what I think winning is, like, being able to do the jiu-jitsu that's being taught at your academy. And then once you've internalized it as it's being taught, and then later down the line, you can modify it for yourself. But at first, you know, you just need to do what they show you. So...
Yeah, I really liked your example about the music. I don't play music. I don't even know how to read music. And that's basically, I could sing in the shower is about as good as I am at music. And I don't even do that.
Yeah, well, me too. I mean, this is just theoretical.
Yeah. But
I can't play the music either.
But I could take what I've learned from jiu-jitsu, and I could, if I wanted to learn music, I think I would learn a little bit better if I use So if I want to learn music, I'm not going to watch a bunch of Jimi Hendrix videos and get all amped up and try to do what he's doing. I'm probably better off getting a basic music book or a video or YouTube video, or getting a teacher to teach me like how to read music and do like the basic couple of chords and get the fundamentals down, and don't even worry about what the advanced people are doing and just
absolutely
learn that.
And then you build a really solid foundation, then you're going to be able to do your own thing down the line in a way that the people who just kind of took the fast track are not going to be able to do. I mean, again, this is all theoretical, but there's people who can play guitar where they just learn the tabs, they just learn the patterns for a particular song, and then they memorize that. But they don't understand music deeply enough to read music or change things. You know what I mean? So they're kind of stuck in that framework. The same could be done with jiu-jitsu. It's you could, understand just movement in general and leverage and all these principles and see how that applies to the said technique being taught. Or you could just learn these memorized steps. Arm goes here, leg goes here, and then arm bar. And it's okay, you're kind of the guy playing the tabs. You just know these patterns that you've been taught by your instructor, but if you have a deep understanding of why these things work and the concepts involved with it, then I think you're gonna have a much stronger understanding of jiu-jitsu. So that's something that I try to do when I'm teaching, is I try to teach why this thing works and how it relates to other things, and conceptually the concepts behind what you're doing. So try to do that best I can. Yeah,
I think, and that's a great way to learn something and to really understand it at a deeper level eventually, is to get the main concepts and the fundamentals down. Do you have any sponsors?
I used to skateboard all the time, and I think that if I had I learned how to learn something in depth from jiu-jitsu, and if I were to go back into my old body that wasn't banged up as it is, and I wanted to start skateboarding again, I could have gotten a lot better, a lot faster if I had just had a better approach to learning it.
Yeah, a more scientific approach to doing some of the tricks or moves. I don't know what you call them with skateboard. I think are they tricks or techniques?
Yeah,
maybe
they're different tricks and stuff. But it's I think I could have set a practice for myself. I'd be I'm going to land this many of this, this many of this. I'm going to build these skills today. The next day I'm going to do a little more of that, but then add something to it, and have practices for myself when I'm going out there and skating, instead of just showing up and it's kind of just dicking around and just doing whatever I feel like. I mean, it was still fun, still a lot of fun to do, but, I think I could have gotten a lot better if I had just, had a better approach for it. Kind of taking a log of, what I'm doing and, I don't know. I just think I could have, learned, I could have, forced myself to get a lot better. But, I just kind of would show up and just skate around and try this, try that. And, it's just no method to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like doing jiu-jitsu without a coach or an instructor. It's going to be you could still do a little jiu-jitsu, but it's tough without that guidance and without that plan and without the idea of practicing in some routine. And
yeah. I always I wish that there's a way to have semesters in jiu-jitsu, where you have the same group of people every day for 6 weeks, and then they move to another thing and another thing. But the way jiu-jitsu works at different academies, it's different people come in every single night, and then you got new people coming in all the time. So it's kind of a unique, a unique type of learning, and it's challenging for, it would be a lot easier for instructors to build curriculums and a syllabus for your students if you knew you had them for a particular semester, and then they were going to go from 101 to 102 to whatever, through a college type environment. But
it
just doesn't work like that. So you have to work around it.
I never really thought of like that. it's really not practical. You need a school with several hundreds of students. But you could, in theory, you could have, instead of Tuesday night at 6:30 is, intermediate jiu-jitsu, it's guard passing jiu-jitsu class. And you do this for a semester. And then after that, you could take it again, or you could enroll in the, attacks from mount class or whatever. And so. Yeah,
but like if you have you have like your beginning level like passes for your people. That's like your guard passing 101, and then you have your that guard passing can get super intricate, but that's just like one facet of jiu-jitsu. So yeah, it'd be cool to like have these classes, but like you said, you would just need like so many students and a lot of money to start out with. I think it'd be hard.
And then you could have like prerequisites to the class. If you're going to do the mount attacks class, you need to have the guard passing class first before you could even get to that. Maybe in the future there'll be some sort of resemblance to this, and at some we'll have a jiu-jitsu college, and it'll be So you heard it here first from Seph. It's a good idea. Do you have any sponsors you want to mention?
I'm sponsored by Inverted Gear. They make really awesome gis. They're not as expensive as some of the other ones out there, but definitely have all the quality, and they have cool pandas on them. So I like them a whole lot. So shout out to Nelson Puentes and Hillary Witt for sponsoring me and making awesome stuff.
Do you have a favorite gi that you have from them?
To tell you the truth, I don't know like all the names of their gis.
Yeah.
But I've got this navy blue one that's like partially made of bamboo. It's like a navy blue with like kind of like a turquoise panda on the sleeve, and that's my favorite one. But I like all the gis that they've sent me.
Does the bamboo react differently to the cleaning process, or does it wear differently, or is there any difference with it than the cotton?
Not that, like, I just treat it like a normal gi. I just, wash it normally, and I dry all my gis. I don't hang dry them. But it's held up really well over the years. I've had it for about a year now, like the one that I have, the bamboo one. And I love that gi, and it feels like every other gi, except it's like really soft. It's really comfortable to wear, but it fits real well. And I don't know, it being partially bamboo hasn't really made a difference other than it's just a really comfortable gi, and it looks cool. So good for me.
Yeah, I could appreciate a comfortable gi. I'll look into the gi. It sounds interesting, and I'll put a link to them on the show notes as well as links to your website and your new school.
Awesome.
How would somebody get a hold of you or come check out your gym? What's the best way to do that?
You can just show up, or you can, my phone number is on my website, so people can just give me a call or give me an email through my website. On the website of Up Stream BJJ.com, there's like a little box where you can, email me. And also, you can just hit me up on Facebook or whatever. I mean, any of these things will work. But I'm always open to do seminars and willing to travel for that. Like I said, I can't really go on like a month-long European trip, but I can definitely, come on a weekend, anywhere. So, I love teaching seminars. If anybody ever wants me to come do something like that, could do it anytime.
Well, cool. And, hopefully we'll be, watching your school grow and develop and hope to see more, pictures and videos out of your school and watch your team develop there. That's exciting.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope it doesn't fall into the ground and disappear.
No, but I mean, if it's the same as if you have fun with it, if you enjoy the process, there'll be days when the guy's bathtub leaks all over your floor and it's annoying, or your ceiling. But if you create the environment where you're having fun, it's going to succeed. You're going to stick with it through the tough days, and you're going to have a good time, and you're going to succeed with your school. That's what I feel.
I feel like it just has to. I mean, it's just I'm at this point I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu. If somehow this gym were to close, I'd just be trying to find a way to open another. I mean, it's just what I'm going to do. So I think it's going to be fine. I love doing jiu-jitsu, and I'm back in my hometown where I'm happy to be, and I don't know, I'm having a good time. So just keep on trucking.
Yeah, well, good. It has been a pleasure talking with you, Seph, and I appreciate you sharing some knowledge with us and your experiences of what's going on over there with you and you're in the school. So thanks for hopping on the show with me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank Seth for taking time out of his day to talk to us and pass on some knowledge. And what I really liked that he talked about was the trust in leg locks that you need to have with your partner. And I think it's something that's very important. You have to, first of all, have trust that your partner, when he gets you in that position, isn't going to destroy your knee. But you can't just, if Seth gets a heel hook on me, we can't just stop at that time. He's going to have to, I got to learn how to escape, and he's also going to have to learn, the second and third attack in case I do get out of that. So I thought that was a really good thing. I know a lot of people do heel hooks and will just stop as soon as somebody gets that position and then call it good. But you really are kind of shortchanging yourself. But you do have to have that trust. If you just have somebody who's going to, just crank and just, destroy your knee, it's not going to do you any good. Yeah,
it's definitely goes to how important it is to have great training partners and great teammates. But I think that's something I've lacked in. If Gary puts a heel hook on me, I already know Gary's not going to destroy my knee. But usually we'll call it good. Like, oh, got me, Gary. Good one, But really, I could say, got me, and then I'm going to go. And then I'm going to try to get my knee out of the submission or rotate through and get out of it. And that's going to help Gary. That's going to help him deal with somebody who actually gets out, starts the pattern of escapes that you're going to have to do to get out of this leg entanglement. And Gary's going to have some follow-ups to do too. And I'm going to have to try to escape all of them. So, I think that's something that we could do. Maybe just like next time, Gary, when you catch me on that heel hook or inverted heel hook, I tap and you keep going, and then I'll start my escape, and then we'll see, kind of what progresses from there. You know what I mean? That just seems like such a great way to train. Especially if you expect to land, leg attacks in tournaments and in competition, because people aren't just going to tap when you get it right away. They're going to try to escape. I'm going to land the leg lock, the heel hook on the guy who's training like me and you. I'm not going to land the heel hook on the guy from Up Stream Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who's training with Seph. He's going to roll out of that. Next thing I know, I've lost everything. So that's where it's so important to keep training from there. Yeah, I just comparing it to like, let's say I throw up an arm bar from my guard. Gary pulls out of the arm bar because he was confident I wasn't going to break his arm, and I transition to the triangle or a plata or something. Like, those are important things to practice. And I think, looking at my game, I've definitely, been lacking in working on that. So I'm excited to develop my game a little bit further, and it'll make my leg locks a lot better, I'd imagine. Yeah, definitely. If you've enjoyed this show, we'd appreciate a little bit of feedback. One of the best ways you could do this is go into iTunes and review the show, or anywhere you listen to the podcast. Hopefully we've earned 5 stars, and if you want to make the review a little bit funny, we'd appreciate that as well. We do enjoy, there's lots of examples of people that wrote funny reviews that you can check out online. One of the guys said that we sound like Cleveland from the Family Guy. Actually, I think that they were referring to the little announcer at the beginning and end of the show. So, but oh darn, I thought that was me. Yeah, I don't know. I've actually made myself a nickname too, based off of that. Well, we'll let you keep your nickname, Gary. Okay, cool. But so if you want to kind of poke at us and have fun and make a joke or two about jiu-jitsu or a podcast or whatever, absolutely. And if you live in the United States, we'd like to send you out a free gi patch. So email us at BjjBrick@gmail.com. Let us know you wrote the review, and we'll get your contact information from you, and we'll send you out a gi patch. Byron, how much is that free gi patch? We only charge in like, that takes maybe 5 minutes of your time, no actual money. And if you do it while you're at work, I hate to tell you, but you could kind of do it for free. Pay for it. Yeah. I don't know if you can do it at work, but maybe on break. Right? A little review? Yeah, because we don't want anybody to get fired. Yeah. Then you have to just do jiu-jitsu full time. Yep. Or you might not even be able to pay for it. Oh, that's the bad part. See, you're thinking at a higher level, Gary. Yep. I appreciate that.
two-stripe in thinking. Hey, and don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, as you all know. We're also on Twitter. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and anywhere else.
Yeah, Gary, I'm actually starting to put our podcast episodes on YouTube.
YouTube, perfect.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they're not videos. So I'll put I'll put the picture of the person that we're interviewing up, and I'll put our logo up and whatever. It's just a way to store the videos safely long term, I think, more than anything. They're not getting a million views, but they're up there and they're preserved for free, so that's nice.
And did you hear what he said? Safely storing the videos long term. Since at the start of the show we talked about how we lost one, so we're trying to fix that problem.
Yep, trying to. Well, if 10 years down the road, if we're not podcasting and we're busy doing other things, and the account dries up and shrivels away, actual podcast of it will be gone. But the YouTube thing, I'd imagine YouTube will still be around. But it'll be YouTube doesn't charge money to host files, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and you're going to show that to your grandchildren.
There you go, all of them. Yeah, all the grandchildren, every episode.
Yep.
So there we go. So we do have a YouTube as well, and I hope to be getting a few techniques on there maybe in a little bit here. But for now, I'm kind of focusing on getting our episodes up and just kind of having them there just as kind of an archive for the podcast. Next week, we're going to be having Jennifer Perez. If all goes well, I haven't interviewed her yet for the second time. I thank her again. She's so nice of a person that she already gave, over an hour of time talking with me on the phone, and I somehow screwed up everything, and it's gone. So let her know. I apologize. And she said, sure, we do it again. No problem. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Thank you so much.
I think she should get a gi patch for her second time.
Absolutely. I'll
some more time.
Have to send her out one. And if she hears this, that maybe that'll remind her. I need to make a note of that when I talk to her next. So, Gary, we all want to know about your audiobook that you have coming out.
Yeah, I have a very nice audiobook coming out here shortly. And why don't you tell me about that one, Byron?
I think everybody kind of gets into it. Like, you get suckered into the theme of things. Gary actually is making like a kind of a Christmas theme book, which is kind of surprising to me, and I know it's probably surprising to Gary as well. But I think this might have taken place a while ago. But how Gary saved Christmas, and I have a feeling that Jiu-Jitsu helped out, but I don't know for sure how Gary saved Christmas. But there was that one year that it just all came together for you, Gary, and you managed to save Christmas, and the kids most of all appreciate your actions. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, that's the most important. Christmas is about kids, and you want to save it for the kids. But what had happened is one night while everybody was asleep, this little, we called him the Grinch. He lived up in the hills, and he came back down to the town, and he came through people's chimneys, and instead of dropping off presents, he was actually stealing them.
Oh, man.
And, he was taking them back, but, the bad part is the very first house he went to was my house. And as you guys know, I have trouble sleeping at night, so I was up later at night watching Jiu-Jitsu videos, and next thing I know, he happened to come through my chimney. So next thing you know, he goes to start grabbing some of the toys, and he couldn't make it back up the chimney because both his knees were destroyed. Both his arms looked like nunchucks, and he'd fallen asleep 3 or 4 times. So due to that, Jiu-Jitsu saved Christmas.
Wow, and it sounded like pretty much wrecked that guy, the Grinch's day.
Yeah, well, that's what happens.
That's what happens when you take. So it sounded like he was following Santa Claus around from house to house, just picking up right after him.
No, I know a lot of people do that. They'll follow the UPS truck around this time and wait till it drops a package off at the door and they grab it. No, this guy actually came down the chimney.
Man, Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for your heroic actions, and you sprung in the action in the late hour of the night, and rescued Christmas back from the greedy green claws of this little Grinch guy. And
well, the good thing was I don't think he's ever trained a day in his life, which made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I would imagine that would make it slightly easier. And so, were any of the packages damaged?
None of the packages were damaged. Nope. So the only package that was damaged was his.
Gary is a dirty fighter, but hey, when Christmas is on the line, you got to get the job done, buddy.
You got to get the job done. It's all about the kids.
So, well, this has been a fun episode, and glad to know that Gary finished off the deal with the Grinch, and there will be no little Grinches in the future. So, thank you for that. And
no little Grinches in the future. That's a good one.
Courtesy of Gary and his swift kick that started out the fight underneath the Christmas tree there.
Yep.
So, good work, Gary.
Why, thank you.
All right, well, we'll be back next week with another episode of the BjjBrick Podcast. As always, stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
And have happy holidays.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.